In the first half of the 7th century, the Islamic expansion integrated Central Asia into a vast, interconnected trading zone. This shift transformed isolated desert outposts into bustling economic centers along the transcontinental Silk Road. These grand cities were built on more than just transit taxes. They were global hubs of manufacturing. Textile production became the region's major industry, with urban centers specialized in the high-volume creation of silk and velvet for markets spanning from Rome to China. In these crowded oases, where nomadic herders and foreign merchants mingled with the local elite, social interactions required a fast way to identify a stranger's rank. This necessity gave rise to the Turkestan dress code. It was a precise system of social regulation that defined exactly which fabrics, colors, and patterns a person was allowed to wear based on their legal standing. Stepping outside of your designated tier was a direct challenge to the social order. In this culture, a person's resume was worn on their back for everyone to see. The foundation of this social pyramid began on the Eurasian steppes with nomadic herders and peasants. This illustration shows the base material of their world, felt. Historically known as the land of felt, this region relied on every household to process their own sheep's wool each autumn, rolling and kneading the fibers into thick, durable mats. At an average altitude of 1,500 meters, the environment demanded total functionality. In the face of steppe winds and extreme seasonal shifts, decorative flourishes were secondary to survival. For the nomadic horseman, clothing served as a protective layer against the geographic realities of a life spent in the saddle. These thick, heavy, utilitarian garments set the baseline for the entire culture. Only after securing this foundation of survival did the region's famous luxury textiles begin to emerge in the cities. Moving up to the merchant class and scholars, the designated status fabric transitioned to silk ikat. This fabric was produced using the Aperbrondi technique, a Persian term meaning cloud-like. The method involves tie-dyeing the threads before they are even placed on the loom, resulting in a distinct, blurred pattern. This photograph captures the intense manual labor required for ikat fabric production. Workers had to bind individual silk warps by hand for repeated immersions in dye baths before the weaving could even begin. The thousands of specialized human hours required to create these intricate patterns made the fabric naturally exclusive to those with significant wealth. This delicate, industrial urban process sat in sharp contrast to the rough, aggressively hand-pounded felt of the steppes. Wearing silk ikat was a public display of one's ability to command and afford massive amounts of specialized human labor. The dress code was so granular it even governed demographics, specifically identifying a woman's age and her level of societal respect. Nomadic women wore a mantle called a chirpi, a specialized head covering that served as a visual ledger for the community. The colors on this timeline represent a strict hierarchy of age. Dark blue was reserved for the youngest women. A transition to yellow marked the shift into middle age. White was used exclusively by the oldest women, signaling the highest level of social authority and respect. This color coding allowed clothing to broadcast a person's age and marital status to the public instantly, establishing their social position before they spoke a single word. At the absolute apex of the pyramid sat the ruler and the highest court officials. This portrait showcases the exclusive materials of the elite, bogmal or silk velvet, and rare valuable cloth imported from Kashmir. To distinguish themselves from the merchant class, the ruling elite heavily layered these ornaments with intricate gold embroidery. At this level of the hierarchy, clothing moved beyond utility. It functioned as a concentrated, wearable monument to absolute political power. The rigid definitions of this dress code provided rulers with a specific mechanism for exercising political control. This photograph shows the result of a strategic political practice, the gifting of high-value robes down the social pyramid. Rulers often distributed silk ikat to peasants and nomads who would otherwise never have the legal right to wear it. This was a calculated method for buying loyalty. Wearing the gift visually identified the subject as a direct supporter of the court. Despite centuries of Mongol invasions and repeated political instability, these manufacturing traditions and their social codes survived until the Russian annexations of the 19th century. Along the Silk Road, a person's fabric functioned as an inescapable social map, ensuring that their standing in the world